Hey, it's Francis, and today I want to show you how I sometimes use a simple pitch structure to create compelling harmonic arrangements without having to worry too much about things like music theory or what the right notes are. And this is a technique that I find myself using quite often, and I realized that I don't think it's too hard to replicate, even if you don't know that much about the moving parts that are happening behind the scenes in music. So I thought I'd do a video on it. Anyway, let's take a look, and I'll see if I can get through this in a reasonable amount of time. All right, so here's my session here. I've decided to go with sort of a string quartet. I've got two violins, a viola, and a cello. For the sounds here, I'm using the Contact Factory library. I thought it would be nice to use something that is a little bit more accessible. I realized the strings I was using in one of my earlier videos are kind of expensive, and I don't want you to feel like money is the only thing between you and sounding good. So I'll use something a little bit more reasonable. Anyway, the concept is that if you choose a small enough amount of notes, you can really choose whatever notes you want. And as long as you only use those notes across all of your instruments, everything will sort of sound like it works, even if it's kind of weird. And a pitch structure that I find myself using because I rather like it is, I think of it as the Petrushka scale. It's related to a Stravinsky piece, and it's essentially a pitch structure that's based on a C major chord and an F sharp major chord. And those chords are basically major chords, a tritone away from each other if you're a nerd and you're watching this. Sounds like that, and then together. A bit extreme. I think it works really well for melodic content, though, and you'll hear it in a lot of my music. It's one of those things when I have friends that'll be saying things like, "Francis, you have your own sound," or "Your harmony is so different." And I'm not using like music theory to create that. I'm using this like. Basically that's one of the things. There's some other ones I use too, but that's my favorite. Okay, maybe this is my favorite. You'll hear that in my music a lot too. Anyway, let's start by taking a look at what that scale or pitch structure looks like in a piano roll. So I guess it'll be easiest if I just go like this. And we can just look at it and think about what's going on. I feel like I missed something. Yeah, I guess I usually hear it as as jumping up the octave too. So a couple of things to notice about this pitch structure if you're a musician. And if you think that you aren't and you're getting value out of this video, maybe it's time to redefine the word musician, because you're probably a musician too. And maybe you just are thinking that you aren't because you haven't gone to school for it or something. That's not very important. Don't worry about it. If you look at how many notes there are before there's a repeat, it's only 6. So it's a 6-note scale. And I think that is interesting because it's less than a major scale, basically. A major scale has a total of 7 notes before it repeats at the octave. And when you're using a major scale on, like, for example, a key snap in a DAW, you're going to run into harmonies that don't sound terribly appealing sometimes, even when you stick to the key snap. If you end up with the wrong stack of notes, it sounds like kind of weird sometimes. And I think that when you go down to 6 or 5 notes, 5 notes being a pentatonic scale, and the classic pentatonic scale would be all black keys, which is another great place to start with this pitch structure idea if you want something simpler. The cool thing about those smaller ones is that you can sort of get away with harmonizing any note with any other note. So what I'm going to do here is try to come up with a melody in this scale. And I think I'm going to draw it in the piano roll. So I won't be on 30-second notes, that's for sure. I'll do something relatively simple rhythmically, and I liked that accident. I went like that, and I kind of want to do that. I'm liking that. Bum, ba-da-da, bum, bum. I'll try to use all these notes in the melody. Oh, I'm on triplets. I didn't even notice. That's why the rhythm sounds weird. Boom, boom. I am going to end on that one, and I'm going to skip a note. Okay, so there's my melody. It's a bit weird, right? It's a strange melody. Lives on violin 1, and I'm going to harmonize it without really worrying too much, because at the end of the day, if what I'm saying is correct, I can sort of play whatever notes I want, as long as they're not too fast or weird or rhythmically questionable. So as a starting point, I think I'm going to go in rhythmic unison with violin 2. That's too obvious of a choice. I'll stick to that one. It'll be pretty weird. So this will be pretty weird with just 2 voices. So it's a strange part, I think, and I think that it'll get more functional the more voices I have. I'm gonna add the cello next, and with the cello, I'm going to stick with the root notes of the two chords that exist, the C major chord and the F sharp major chord. And I'm going to give it a rhythm here. Let's see how that sounds. Okay, it's giving it a little bit of character. And now I just need to fill in one more voice in here. And something that Debussy does a lot that I like is sort of like a trill. And you know what? What if I just have the violas trilling the whole time? That might be cool. A trill viola. What is that speed? It doesn't trill very well because it's a virtual instrument. So a problem with a lot of virtual instruments is that they don't capture the character of certain techniques. And with bowstringed instruments, it's very challenging to trill on inexpensive samples, inexpensive sample plugins, because the tendency of the string is that it has kind of a long attack in its the envelope of its amplitude. So you end up you know what we're gonna do is cheat here and overlap them so that we get more of the full volume. Yeah, that's fine. That'll work. And I'm going to go back and forth between these two. Really, really kind of bizarre parts. Oh, I guess I don't have enough there. And yeah, what the hell? Let's just dupe that. Okay, here's the whole thing. And there you have it. Right off the bat, a relatively compelling, I think, string part that's it's bizarre, isn't it? It sounds weird. It sounds like I don't think I've heard a song that sounds quite like this. Okay, and I think I'm gonna just do some quick panning. I'll put these things in the room like they're a string quartet. And when I do this, there's something that I like to cheat on some of this stuff and use something like, this is a good free one. I'll use a free one. Something that brings our low frequencies into mono. And I like to go below 250 ish. Doesn't really matter. It does, but like it doesn't matter in the context of something like this. You can sort of use your ears and tune that. And another thing I'm going to do here is let's just put this all in a track with a very small amount of chamber reverb mixed in. I like the, what is that called? It's a Waves plugin. The Abbey Road chambers. These are great. And we can hear the sound of different spaces. First off, I want this to be completely dry at first because I'm putting it on a folder track, which isn't probably the right way to do it. I do this when I'm trying to save time. And anyway, it looks like I'm wasting time talking to you. So I guess I didn't save much time, did I? Explaining that this is probably not the right way of doing it. But anyway, I'm going to use the mix control on the plugin itself. I'm going to take the pre-delay down quite a bit. And I like the stone room, but we'll listen to all of them to see what the difference is. And I like to take the top cut down, and I like to take a lot of the bass out as well of the chamber. So let's just go ahead and listen to that. This track is cracking me up. I want to put like a weird beat on it. I liked it enough that I hit save sort of like by reflex. So a couple of other things that I would do to this to probably clean it up if I were making something out of it, which I very well might. I'm kind of liking this idea. Would be to use my fader bank to record some expression to make them a little bit more lively. If I were doing a final recording with this, I'd probably choose different samples. This is actually my first time using the factory library strings. I just assumed that they weren't very good and bought some expensive ones when I got Contact. I think I got excited because everything was on sale. And of course, it's always on sale because that's what software companies do, right? So anyway, that's, I think, going to be all for today. So I don't want to overload you, but the core concept there is to take a few notes, whatever they are. You can do this with really any 6 notes. And if you play those 6 notes over and over again in different formats and different combinations, your ear gets used to it. And it becomes like a weird part that is quirky, but sort of sounds like it fits in whatever it is that you're doing. Now, you can't do that if you're like trying to make a cool melody over like a major chord progression like C, F, G, C, F, G. You're not going to suddenly be able to throw in whatever notes you want because you're doing it somewhere else in the song. So the caveat here is that you have to stick to it when you're doing it. You have to really lean into it. And if you don't do that, you're going to end up with stuff that just sort of sounds like it's weird for the sake of being weird. But when you have a part where you're just really sort of going for it and using only the same 5 or 6 notes for the entire piece of music, or perhaps for an entire section of the piece of music. I think it works great. I'll link to a couple of songs that I've used this particular pitch structure in the description. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks for watching.